I call this meeting to order at 7:29 p.m. We'll move into section 2, swearing in. There is none. We'll now move into section 3, opening roll call.
Voting is now open. I have 30 senators present. Simple majority would be 16, and I will give the two-thirds majority later.
Thank you. We'll now move into section 4, messages from the student body president.
Upon recommendation by the Senate and by my authority, the following have been signed and filed as law. SB-68-138, an act to fund a vehicle for the Kia Duggins Shocker Support Locker. SB-68-141, an act to appoint Vincent Tung as an Associate Justice. Executive orders filed. Pursuant to authority vested in me as the President of the Association by the Constitution and the laws of the Wichita State University Student Government Association, I hereby direct and order the following. EO-68-021, certifying the appointments to the Health and Wellness Commission. Whereas the purpose of the Health and Wellness Commission is to give students to provide input on the Steve Clark YMCA, student health services, counseling and prevention services, and campus recreation coordination, and identify long-term service needs. No more than 10 but no less than 5 fee-paying students, not including the chairperson appointed by the vice president of the association, and now, therefore, pursuant the authority vested in me as the President of the Association by the Constitution and the laws of the Wichita State University Student Government Association, I hereby direct and order the following. Action 1. Upon the recommendation of Vice President Wen, I hereby certify the following appointments to the Health and Wellness Commission. Sawyer Kirkland, Braden Miller, Guillermo Argumedo, Anna Dow, and Rita Azmi. Action 2. Direct the Central Office to notify the Student Senate of this action. This order shall be filed with the Association's office, added to the record, and it shall become effective upon filing and remain in force until rescinded by the President of the Association or following other procedures. This order shall become executive law and special order to remain beyond the session. EO-68-022, certifying the appointments to the Sustainability Committee. Whereas the Sustainability Committee shall be responsible for meeting at least once per month to identify, review, develop, and create policies and programs regarding sustainability at Wichita State University and throughout the association. This committee shall work and meet the university's faculty and staff regarding concerns and feedback regarding sustainability on campus. The committee shall assist the Director of Wellness and Sustainability in planning and working on projects and programming to address sustainability needs and efforts. And the committee shall assist in efforts to ensure the success and maintenance of the Wichita State Community Garden. Now, therefore, pursuant to the authority vested in me as President of the Association by the Constitution and the laws of Wichita State University Student Government Association, I hereby direct and order the following. Action 1. Upon recommendation of Vice President Wen, I hereby certify the appointment of Joshua Mallard as a committee member on the Sustainability Committee. Action 2. Direct the Central Office to notify the Student Senate of this action. This order shall be filed with the Association's office, added to the record, and it shall become effective upon filing and remain in force until rescinded by the President of the Association or following other procedures. This order shall become executive law and special order to remain beyond the session. EO-68-023, certifying the appointments to the Engagement and Outreach Commission. Whereas the Commission shall advocate on behalf of the students of the association by working with recognized student organizations, agencies, and colleges to identify areas of need and improvement of university and association services and/or resources. The Commission shall be responsible for organizing outreach efforts and initiatives in conjunction with the legislative branch. Now, therefore, pursuant to the authority vested in me as president of the association by the Constitution and the laws of the Wichita State University Student Government Association, I hereby direct and order the following. Action 1. Upon recommendation of Vice President Wen, I hereby certify the following appointments to the Engagement and Outreach Commission: Abby Otten, Anastasia Marston, Ashley Arteaga, and Caden Berry. Action 2. Direct the central office to notify the Student Senate of this action. This order shall be filed with the Association's office, added to the record, and shall become effective upon filing and remain in force until rescinded by the President of the Association or following other procedures. This order shall become executive law and special order to remain beyond the session.
Thank you. We will now move into Section 5, messages from the Finance Commission.
Hi, everyone. The Commission has reviewed a series of individual and organizational funding requests submitted by students and student organizations. Allocations were determined in accordance with SGA funding policies and eligibility requirements. For individual funding, the Commission reviewed 8 applications. The Commission approved funding for 2 AIAA SciTech conference requests totaling up to $1,399.49 and $1,128.64, 2 IEEE conference requests for $1,212.64 each, SAMPU for $1,500, 2 game developers conference requests for $1,415.15 and 1 for $975, and the Industrial Engineering and Management Science Annual International Conference for $1,500. For organizational funding, the Commission reviewed 5 applications. The Commission recommends funding for the Turkish Student Association in the amount of $533.50, Engineers Without Borders for $1,388, the Mission for $850, the Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers for $1,500, and the Institute of Industrial and Systems Engineer for $1,455. These recommendations reflect each organization's compliance with SGA funding policies and their contributions to student engagement and development. The Commission will continue to provide weekly updates on allocations and budget expenditures from the individual and organizational funding accounts.
Thank you. We'll now move into Section 6, messages from the agencies. There are none. We'll now move into Section 7, recognition of the Senator of the Month. Good evening, everyone. I hope your day is going well. So today I am presenting the Senator of the Month for January. So for those of you that haven't gone through a Senator of the Month presentation, every month our Senate leadership team in our Legislative Affairs meeting votes at the end of each month to recognize the Senator for their contribution at tabling events, in addition to participation within one-on-ones, legislation that they're writing, in addition to collaboration with fellow senators as well. For our Senator of the Month for January, this senator has been heavily involved at our tabling events. This in January with around from 3 to 4 tabling events for different amounts of times, but always over the amount that they signed up for. They always show up to all the tabling events with a smile, come with enthusiasm to talk to fellow students. Additionally, the Senator has been working really hard in working on initiatives related to the International Mentorship Program, and also working with fellow senators in scheduling those meetings and getting those things done as well. Our Senate leadership team believes this senator exemplifies what it means to be a senator, and I'm proud to announce that we are recognizing Senator Ashley Arteaga as the Senator of the Month for January. If you can come to the front to accept your certificate and dining dollars, please come to the front. We will now move into Section 8, 3-minute floor speeches. In lieu of senators using public forum as a mechanism to address the Senate, any senator may seek recognition to give a speech on a subject of their choice, not exceeding 3 minutes in duration. 3-minute speeches are focused on specific topics. Senators may only hold the floor once during this period. Are there any senators that wish to speak in the 3-minute floor speech period? Okay, seeing none, we'll now move into Section 9, Public Forum. Public forum provides a chance for individuals to have the privilege of speaking before the Senate, limited to 3 minutes only. This is a time for the Senate to listen to what the community has to say, and to that, we offer our undivided respect and attention. I would like to remind everyone that, although we allow the speakers the privilege to use this platform, the opinions of the speakers do not reflect the opinions of the association. Are there any individuals who wish to speak in public forum at this time? Seeing none, we'll now move into Section 10, Introductions and Reports, and we'll go to 10.1, Report from the Executive Branch.
Hello again. So for Student Body President Wong, over the past week, President Wong attended several university meetings, including the SAC special meeting, RSC Budget Committee, and the Student Campus Climate Task Force. She approved EOF requests and continues to monitor legislative updates. She also led Higher Education Day at the Capitol today. I am currently continuing to support engagement and outreach efforts, including the Fridge Project and Grocery Vouchers Initiative. I also attended the SAC special meeting, AI Literacy Task Force, and Higher Education Day today. Student Body Treasurer Bum reviewed 14 funding requests this past week, including 8 from individuals and 6 from student organizations. He is also preparing the Finance Commission for their visit with esports this Friday. Director of Legislative Affairs and Policy, Arns, continues to monitor and track legislation while supporting preparations for Higher Education Day, which was today. She is also keeping the executive team informed on key bills impacting students. Director of Media Relations, Zhang, completed January event graphics and is preparing materials for February and March events. She also scheduled graphics and filmed the video for the Kia Duggins Shocker Support Locker 10th anniversary and worked on senator headshots. Director of Community Engagement and Outreach, Gracia Alvarez, has been coordinating campus engagement events and outreach initiatives. Upcoming events include this More Love for Justice event happening on February 12th from 6 to 8 p.m. in the Starbucks Lounge, and Coffee and Dialogue on February 24th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Director of International Student Affairs, Safdar, finalized the tax filing workshop with United Way of the Plains that will be happening on February 13th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. He also confirmed a Kansas Leadership Center leadership training workshop on April 8th and continues developing connections with international alumni. Director of Athletics, Murphy, is still in the process of planning the spring basketball tailgate happening on March 7th, coordinating food trucks and location logistics with athletics as well. Director of Professional Development, Guthrie, is organizing his soft skills workshop happening on February 18th from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. in Woolsey 144. Undergraduate Student Advocate Island is currently managing 7 active student cases, which include 4 academic appeals, 1 student wellness case, 1 financial concern, and 1 parking concern. Graduate Student Advocate Khan has completed training and will begin managing graduate student cases in coordination with the undergraduate advocate.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Vice President Nguyen? Okay, seeing none, we'll now move into 10.2, report from the Speaker of the Student Senate. So good evening, everyone. I hope your day is going well. This week has been a busy week. As Vice President Nguyen has mentioned, I went to Higher Education Day with several of our senators as well. So I want to give a special shout out to all those senators that did go along with us for the Higher Education Day delegation. They're a little bit more dressed up today, so feel free to chat with them about it afterwards as well. Additionally, at Higher Education Day, we had the opportunity to speak to several of our legislators, in addition to interacting with several of the other student governments in Kansas as well. I had the opportunity to connect with the Speaker of K-State, in addition to connecting with the speaker at Washburn in addition to KU as well. So it was a really good experience seeing what other student senates are like, in addition to seeing things that we can work on together moving forwards as well. Additionally, some things that our Senate leadership team has been working on is making sure we're updating our legislation trackers, making sure that we're updating our committee teams channels to be accessible for all of you and working out timelines, while also working out ways to keep track of different things going on throughout the year. Additionally, another thing that we've been discussing are workday Fridays and having working groups. This Friday, the two main working groups that we'll have within the office will be either related to the International Mentorship Program or discussions about parking as well. So if you're interested in those specific things, I'll put a general time that people might be in the office working on those things. I'll be in the office for most of Friday as well. So if you want to work on those things, I'm more than happy to talk to you about them as well. Additionally, from my end, I am still conducting the final interviews for senator applications. So if you know anyone that is interested in Senate, I'm concluding my final interview. So if they want to be interviewed for this session, I would highly recommend that if you know anyone that's interested to turn in their application as soon as possible. Next week, we should anticipate some senator appointment bills from me as well to a lot of our legislation that has gone through the committee read or is going through the second read as well. But for today's agenda, it's a pretty short agenda for today. We have SB-68-143, amending the Senate Operations and Emeritus Status Bylaws for a second read. It went through the Legislative Affairs Committee on Monday. So if you go into the Teams, I designated two separate Word documents for it. The first document is the unamended first read, and then in the second document is the second read version that is amended by the Legislative Affairs Committee. The edits that Legislative Affairs Committee made is designated in purple in that document, so you can see the things that we struck out or added in within the packet as well. Additionally, we will see the first read for association resolution written by Senator Lee about voter registration as well, so you'll see that shortly. And for the consent agenda, we will just be approving the January 28th, 2026 Senate meeting minutes, and that is also in the Teams if you wish to refer to it also. As a reminder for our legislation, the deadline to submit any legislation for next Wednesday's meeting is 5:00 p.m. on Friday. That is a hard deadline. I will be out of the office on Saturday, and I probably won't be responding to emails that day, so if you want something to be on the agenda, please send it in on time by that deadline. If you need to refer to the deadlines moving forward, there should have been a calendar invite that was sent out, and within that calendar invite are the days where this is the last week to turn in legislation for the session, and so on and so forth. Finally, we have one event coming up next week that attendance will be mandated for, and a memo should be going out. It is the SJ Connect event. We're having another Connect event in conjunction with the executive branch. So for some of our committees, I know we're working on different initiatives, so that's a great time to talk about that as well during our tabling. And finally, thank you to all of those that donated or collected donations for the Winter Coat Drive. I was really pleased to see all the donations come in throughout the week, and different senators bringing in clothing items or encouraging people to bring in clothing items as well. So just know that those donations are greatly appreciated. But as always, if you need anything from me, have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me at my email. I'm mostly caught up on my email, so if you haven't heard back from me regarding a question that you have or initiative that you're working on, just shoot me a message on GroupMe or send me another email, and I'll get back to you on that. But I will stand for any questions that you all may have for me. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing no questions, we'll go to report from the Senate chairpersons, and we'll go to Academic Affairs Chairperson Kusir Safar.
Good evening, everyone. So our committee is still working on the plus or minus grading survey, and our focus right now is increasing student participation. We are planning outreach by working with student organization, asking them to share the survey in the group chats, and also planning tabling events on campus so we can talk directly with students. If you have not completed the plus and minus grading survey yet, please take a moment to do so. Senator Beam will also be resending the survey in the group me. Additionally, if you're part of any student organization, we kindly ask that you share the survey in your group to help us reach more students. Also, during our committee meeting tonight, we voted to table the registration for 8-week courses to next week. In addition, we have also started a new initiative focused on access code and software fees. The goal is to explore ways students can be informed about required access codes and fees before they enroll in a course, so there are fewer unexpected costs. And right now we are in the information gathering stage, and we will be working with campus offices to better understand the current practices. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Chairperson Christier so far? Seeing none, thank you. We'll now hear the report from Diversity, Empowerment, and Inclusion Chairperson Peng.
Hi, everyone. Not much to report for me today. As Speaker Fawn has mentioned, a group of us went to Higher Education Day in Topeka, so I am very exhausted, if you can't tell by my voice. But this week I have met with ASC President Lynn Tran and have scheduled meetings with the rest of the agency presidents tomorrow. Friday, I am conducting a meeting with Senator Arteaga and members of the executive branch to put the finishing touches on the bill before submitting it onto the Senate floor for next week. If you would like to be part of the discussion of the International Transfer Student Mentorship Bill, please let me know and I can send you that calendar invite. And then today, the DEI Committee and Student Services Committee had a joint session where we got to meet with the new ADA director and ask any questions we had. Thank you to Chairperson Hansen for letting my committee join on to that conversation. But that is all for me. Any questions?
Thank you. Are there any questions for Chairperson Peng? Seeing none, thank you. We'll now go to the report from Government Oversight Chairperson Tawana.
Good evening, everyone. As everyone already mentioned, I also went with them for Higher Ed Day, so it's been a long day so far. Reporting from the committee, for the two Senate bills referred to the Government Oversight Committee from last week's first read, SP-142, we were able to approve it with majority, and as for SP-68144, it has been tabled for 2 weeks as it needs further review and amendments. Other than that, we discussed the Senator Arden's bill for RSO handbook update that it requires for mentioning RSO tier levels, and she's also working on RSO tier verification bill for appropriation, so you'll see that next week for first read. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Chairperson Tawana? Okay, seeing none, we'll now hear the report from Student Services Chairperson Hansen.
Hi everyone, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. My committee had the privilege to host the new ADA director tonight in a joint committee with DEI to give a brief presentation and to discuss some student concerns and possible collaborations with SGA. Additionally, the University Police and Parking Services will be visiting my committee on February 18th for a similar purpose. Other than that, I've continued meeting with my committee members and working on legislation. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Chairperson Hansen? Seeing none, thank you. We'll now go to the report from the central office.
Lauren is going to give that report today.
Okay, so I just have two really quick things to update you guys about. The first is a new recognized student organization that we have approved. So yesterday on February 3rd, 2016, we approved the Wichita State University Students for Life of America Club. And their purpose is to promote respect for all life through campaigns and outreach, not only at Wichita State University, but on a local, state, and national level, to educate on pro-life issues and common misconceptions, and to help those in need and work with others who share those common goals. And then the second one is an update about the Shocker Support, or the Kia Duggan Shocker Support Locker, just to wrap up with some data points for last semester, fall 2025. So we had 500, a little over 500 new users. Over 140 different products were offered across hygiene, food, and baby items, and household items as well. We had about 15.9 thousand all-time visits. That's from January 2024 to the end of 2025. Or sorry, January 2025 to December 2025. And we had 7,203 total visits. A little bit of demographic information for the where different users are located. We have 579 Sedgwick County residents, 146 non-Sedgwick County users, 173 out of state, and 1,116 international student users. That's all I have. Do you have any questions?
Thank
Great.
you. Are there any questions for the central office? Seeing none, thank you. We'll now move into Section 11, the consent agenda. So on the consent agenda for today is the approval of the January 28th, 2026 Senate meeting minutes. Those meeting minutes are in the Teams. Are there any objections to the consent agenda? Seeing none, they are adopted as such. And before we move into Section 12, pending business, I will hand over the chair to Vice President Nguyen.
The clerk may read.
Akon request to approve SB-68-143, amending the Senate Operations and Emeritus Status bylaws.
Is the author here and wish to speak? You have the floor.
So good evening, everyone. So for this legislation, the Legislative Affairs Committee did make a couple changes. As I noted within the report, these changes are noted in purple. So if you go through the amended legislation, some changes that you can note are related to the permanent emeritus status, that in that we added a section where emeritus status can be removed maybe removed by 2/3 majority vote of the Senate through a Senate bill. The reason why we added this language is for all other Senate bills, the Senate can revoke those Senate bills in future sessions. So there was no mechanism to remove emeritus status, even if something did happen. I'm open to amendments possibly further defining what emeritus status can be removed from, like circumstances that would get emeritus status removed. But I thought it was pretty fair to have emeritus status be able to be removed by a 2/3 majority vote of the Senate through a Senate bill. In addition, some of the other minor changes that were made by the committee was in Section 5, the Senate agenda, in line number 82. We struck out the line that said members of the, and it follows with standing Senate committee. So when I wrote that section, I intended for that when a committee writes legislation, and it's the whole committee writing it, it could be able to skip a Senate committee read at the discretion of the speaker. The way it was written, it sounded like any member, if they wrote legislation, it could skip a Senate committee read, so that wasn't my intention. So that struck out language reflected on what I wanted to express when I first wrote the legislation as well. Additionally, some of the other minor changes are striking out the lines, excluding vacant seats. For some of the other sections, like under means of the Senate, it strikes out excluding vacant seats because the previous sections or following sections, the following section talks about the 2/3 majority vote standards, so it kind of seemed kind of redundant in stating that when the voting standards are right under that section as well. But I'm more than happy to answer any questions that anyone may have regarding this legislation.
Are there any questions? Senator Mallard?
Yeah, this may be a question for central office, but are we able to give emeritus status to senators that are currently not a senator? Like, could we give it to someone who was here 20 years ago? Because it doesn't state anything about that. It just says if they have served in the association.
I think historically in the past, there's not been a requirement that they actively have to be serving at that time. I think even when we first went back to look in I think the early 90s when it was established, there were people who were awarded that weren't actively sitting in student government at that time. So I think that because of that, I would assume that you could award it to someone from 2005, whenever, I don't know why I said that year specifically, but it seems like you can award it to whoever. They don't actively have to be a sitting member at the time.
Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll now move into the debate period. Would anyone wish to speak in debate? Senator Beam?
Motion to pass by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, this motion passes. I will now hand back the chair to Speaker Fawn.
Thank you. We will now move into section 13, new business, and we'll go to 13.1. The clerk may read.
Act on request to approve AR-68-008, designating a holiday for voting and improving voter turnout.
Is the author here ready to speak? You have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. I wish to talk about this bill, which is going to try and improve voter turnout. Do not expect the holiday to happen until a few years later because academic calendars were already made for a few years out. But on the other hand, we can still have an immediate impact by collaborating with organizations such as the Sharkers Voting Coalition to try and improve voter turnout and help people get to be able to vote. And this bill is primarily made to give an outline of that. Now for the questions.
Are there any questions? Senator Mallard.
So it states in section 1 of the therefore, so that members of the association can go vote. Are you meaning to state that WSU students in their entirety can vote, or just members of SGA?
Everyone shall be able to go vote.
Are there any further questions? Senator Haynes.
Hey, Matthew, could I interject really fast?
Yes.
I think for clarification, we don't refer to students in our resolutions as students. We refer to them as members of the association. Even though all of you are technically, we consider all of you like SJ officials, but students are considered members of the association because we don't classify them in our governing documents as students. So when you see members of the association, that means the student body.
Thank you for the clarification. We'll go to Senator Haynes.
Yes, I just wanted to ask what the rationale was between advocating for a holiday as opposed to advocating for granting like excused absences for the process of voting. I was just wondering like what the rationale behind that was.
Honestly, that is something I should consider if we ever need to rewrite this bill again. But on the other hand, a holiday would work better so that students who commute from far away can actually go vote in their hometowns instead of having to go here and then try and rush back to be able to go vote because voting places normally go from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. last I checked.
Are there any further questions? Senator Timms.
Yeah, so I'm a co-sponsor on this bill, and like Senator Haynes had recommended, I think that maybe something we could consider is not necessarily advocating for a holiday, but for advocating for excused absences. I think that the university calendar is very demanding, and asking them to come up with a spare day off every year would be a lot. So would that be something you'd be able to consider moving forward?
Yes.
Are there any further questions? Chairperson Ping.
Hi, so in section 2, it says the government association in potential collaboration with the Shockers Vote Coalition and the Loud Light organization. Does that mean you haven't spoken to them about a collaboration, or you just hope that they will collaborate with us about this?
The answer to that is both. I should really try and think about trying to contact them. I haven't really managed to contact them though, and I would like to collaborate with them.
Are there any further questions? I'll allow a follow-up with Chairperson Hansen. I'm Chairperson Peng.
Following up with that, does that mean they do not know of this resolution?
There's only one member of the Loud Light organization that knows of this resolution in the format of Adriana Owens, who did inspire me to create this resolution. And then for Shockers Vote Coalition, I haven't managed to get outreach to them yet, tragically.
And I think like one thing to add too is I think with the agenda like being released, there is a possibility that some members know. So I don't know if you can speak on behalf that definitively if like certain members do know or don't know. But are there any additional questions for Senator Lee? We'll go to Senator Phillips.
So on section 2, it touches briefly on transportation to voting sites. And I know we had talked earlier about getting them to vote in their home city or town, whatever it may be. I was hoping you'd go into a little bit more detail about that.
Last I recall, there are students that attend Wichita State University but live a few hours away in small towns, and they have to go in person to vote in those small towns. Most probably on election day. And for transportation there, I don't expect it to happen, but then again, they already have their transportation, is what I would assume. As for the transportation from here to anywhere in Wichita, Kansas, that is within our purview of, we collaborate with Shockers Vote Coalition to provide the transportation like what has been done before.
Are there any additional questions? Senator Timms.
Yeah, in section 2, it briefly touches on advertising absentee ballots. And like you said, sometimes it is very difficult for students to get all the way home. So I think that maybe moving forward, we could put more of an emphasis on absentee ballots, and maybe we could brainstorm an idea in committee on how exactly we could do that. So is that something you'd be open to?
Sure, and I'd like to see if we can make an arrangement to have a joint committee between government oversight and any other relevant committees here.
Are there any additional questions? We'll go to Senator Fouquet.
Yeah, I guess my thought would be, Senator Lee, I was just thinking, when you say students from hometowns that are further away from Wichita, if they were going to school here for the most part and living here, wouldn't they have an address in Wichita and therefore be voting here?
Yeah, they probably would, but they might also have an interest in being able to vote at their hometown, or they have their address back in their hometown. It's just they also have one in Kent here.
And I think like when we talk about voter registration too, like it depends on the student too, whether or not they want to vote in their home state or home city as well. But are there any questions about this legislation? Senator Hinojosa?
Just a quick comment, or more of a question, I suppose. I think it would be smart to include, well, voting is a process, and obviously you have to register to vote. So including something of registering even to vote, because I believe you have to register, I believe in October or like a month beforehand. I'm not sure on the dates on that. But even prepping students on the run up to actually voting, because if we just give them a day, maybe those students aren't actually going to be proactive and go vote because they're not even able to vote. Thank you.
I would, moving forwards, I would like just to have questions during the question period. But if you would like to give feedback afterwards, after Senate, I think that's a great time to chat as well. Are there any additional questions about this legislation? We'll go to Chairperson Tawana.
One more suggestion, would you be open to having the option of remote classes along with excused absentees if you're going to make an amendment?
Sure, we can do that.
Are there any additional questions? Senator Winslow?
So I noticed the bill specifically talks about the Tuesday after the first Monday in November. Would you consider adding something about other major election cycles? Like I know, I can't remember how many years ago, but when we had that big abortion bill that came up, that was not on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. So would you consider adding something in support of those types of election days as well?
Sure, we're going for excused absences and remote classes, because at that point, we wouldn't need to ask the university to give up a day, and so the university can be more flexible and when it gives up days, essentially by asking people to go remote or have excused absences.
Are there any additional questions? We'll go to Senator Boyd.
What about for students who live on campus who don't have a permanent Kansas address? What steps have you taken to make sure those students have a chance to vote?
I guess before Senator Lee answers the question, are you can you clarify for me from the question, are you talking about students that don't have a permanent address or are not registered to vote? Can you explain a little bit for me?
Students that are registered to vote but don't have a permanent Kansas address, like if you live in the Flats or Shocker Hall, if you a permanent residence in Kansas.
I guess to clarify for those that are registered to vote, you have to vote in the area that you're registered to vote in. So if you're registered to vote, let's say out of state, you have to vote out of state even if that's not necessarily your permanent address. You just have to vote where you're registered to vote. But are there any additional questions? Senator Phillips?
Hi again. So I noticed on the final whereas, it mentions early in-person voting, but that's the only time in this bill that it is mentioned. Would you be open to creating further incentives for early voting in this bill?
Sure.
Are there any additional questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you. This legislation will be referred to the Government Oversight Committee. With that, we will now move into closing roll call.
Voting is now open.
With that, we'll now move into Section 15, adjournment. The Student Government Association Student Senate will stay in adjournment until Wednesday, February 11th at 7:30 p.m. I adjourn this meeting at 8:13 p.m.